Gonna check it. Well, g'day everybody. So I think this is going to work. I started off with a flat battery on my computer, and it's held the screen down until some power came in, and it's showing that the power's going in, but the battery's dead flat. So if you lose me, it's my problem, not your problem. So okay, so everything's happening slowly but surely. I don't know whether you saw the graphic on the post directly below this about the amount of footage coming in off the boats. It's really interesting. Some entrants have, like Maiden's got huge amount of footage, and others haven't. Some have got minuscule footage. So that's telling us that it's taken a while to actually go through it all. And so we've checked through all leg 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it looks like some boats haven't actually given us all their footage, which will be really interesting because it's compulsory under the notice of race. And we do that for obvious reasons. When entrants are signing on to the race, they agree to give us a shared copyright of everything that's filmed on board, and we use that to hopefully get a documentary up and hopefully make it quite unique. So in other words, if any footage coming from Explorer, OGR gets a copy of that, and we can do with it whatever we want. And all the entrants agree to that. Explorer then can also go and do their own thing and make their own documentaries and so on. And we encourage that for all entrants. So there's a few boats doing documentaries because that'll tell their whole story. So you get a boat like Neptune, they're planning a documentary, and they will tell their whole story within the race, which is fantastic. For us, when we've got 13 boats, and if it's an hour and 20-minute documentary or a series, we can't actually tell. They'll be lucky to get 5 minutes in the scheme of things. So you can see. But nonetheless, we need to get copies of all the footage so that we can decide what we want to use and what we don't. So that'll be an issue, because if the entrants don't actually, and they sign declarations to confirm that they've handed over their footage, but if they don't, then they'll be out of the rankings for any particular leg. And that makes life interesting. It sounds crazy, but as an organizer, it can be that important. So let's wait and see what happens. But we're still waiting for some films and videos and so on to come in. And as I say, the entrants actually sign a declaration to confirm that on each leg that they've given us all their footage. Penjuic had a problem on leg 2. They took a lot of water down below and flooded their hard drives and computers and cameras and bits and pieces. So they've declared there wasn't anything for leg 2. But anyway, we'll see how that pans out at the end in Cowes. Apart from that, everything seems to be going well. I'm not going to mention the last boat in the fleet this time. It's getting too embarrassing. So I'll tell you what they're doing and where they are, but I won't mention their name. Some people get sick of me talking about it. But anyway, so here's what we're looking at right now. We should be just get some wind up in there, and we should be looking. Yep, we've got the 12 o'clock positions. So as we were discussing yesterday, the Spirit of Keep and Penjuic have entered the zone of the doldrums, which is looking very traditional there at the moment. It's not looking worse than usual, but it's certainly not looking better. So they're currently bogged down in that. Penjuic's only doing 2.8, and they were doing that in the previous 4 hours as well. The Spirit of Keep's doing 4 knots, so they're just pushing out. Oh, a black screen. Not to worry. Okay, you've got a black screen. Why have we got a black screen? All right, I'll put me back here. You still got something happening there? I'm on the screen. What have you got, Jane? Okay, Jane's just refreshing here. No tracker, black screen. I should be there now. I'm talking, and I'm on there, and then I'll try and get back to that. And I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah. I'm back. All right, I'm going to turn you back onto the tracker now. See what's happening there. You got the tracker, or is it black screen again? There's not that to the delay. What do you got? We're just checking things here. I don't know what's going on, but black screen again. Okay, so I'm going to try and reboot the tracker here and see what happens. I'm just going to reboot the tracker. It's still on black screen. So I've rebooted the tracker. Now I'm just going to reshare the screen. Open Globe Race Live Tracker share. That should be there. So I'll just check that. Now we've got two. Hang on a sec. So I'm going to get rid of that one. Remove. You sure you want to remove the source? Yes. So I'm back to here. So now I'm going to come back to me. And I'm going to share this one. What have you got now? Still a black screen. Still a black screen. It doesn't want to share the tracker for some reason. Jeepers. Okay. So I'm not sure. Okay, hang on a sec. Just let me get back here. I'm actually going to shut this down. Okay, so this didn't work. I'm going to shut it down and we'll do some tests and then come back shortly, I think, because we did lose everything, but I don't know where that went, so I don't know what. We should just shut this down first and start again.
Yeah, you can refresh that now.
Refresh what? The whole lot? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to So now we've lost the tracker. So I'll share the screen. Live tracker, share. What have you got at the moment? Hang on a sec. If I come back to me. Okay, it's got something shared screen, but I can't work out there where we go here. Now, have you got the tracker there now?
Yes.
You got the tracker. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. So it looks like we're back on track. So no pun intended. So I'm here. I'm going to put the weather up. Just keep an eye on it, Jane. Jane, tell me if it drops out. Okay. Still there? Is it there or not? Yep. Okay. So we're back on the tracker. So here was what we were talking about: Penduic and l'Esprit de Keep up the top here into the doldrums and starting to slow down dramatically. So Penduic is 2.8 knots and did 138 mile day, and l'Esprit de Keep is doing 4.3. So even in this graphic, you can see they're likely to have a bit more breeze than Penduic because it's starting to run out just ahead of them. So l'Esprit de Keep is about to slow down. Meanwhile, back end of the fleet, Maiden is doing 9.2. So as we discussed yesterday, they're closing the gap rapidly. Spirit of Helsinki, exactly the same, 9 knots, still behind Maiden. Translated 9 off to the left of the course, which is usually a better place to be for the doldrums. But here it doesn't matter because it's pretty much parallel. There's no wind in the middle all the way across, but nonetheless doing 8.6 knots and closing the gap with Penduic and l'Esprit de Keep. And then we've got Neptune, 8.3. They've actually been moving really fast. So they've done 212 mile day. Translated has done 195. Helsinki has done 222 and Maiden has done 216. So all 4 of these boats are pretty similar. And they'll, by the look of it, hold that breeze. How much longer is that breeze going to stick in there? From there to there is 100 miles, 90 miles. So they'll cover that in the next 10, 12 hours. I suppose they'll slow down towards the end, but you can see how close they may get. So when they get to the doldrums, every mile counts because you're trying to reach the other side. And the first ones to reach the other side will bolt off again while the others are stuck in the middle. So distances become, time on distance here becomes really critical. It's rather than the length of the how far away you are. It's just getting forward to get across to the other side. So there's a lot of stuff developing there as we speak. Down here, we've got the southeasterly trades, quite solid. So Outlaw's doing 8.2, roaring up towards the others. Galliana with Secure doing 7.8, doing pretty well. And Evrika, happy to be up there. Evrika, there we go. Oh, there we go, Evrika. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. So Evrika doing 8.4, 168 mile day, pretty much on a par with Galeana, but Galeana took out a little bit on Evrika, so they're catching up as well. Finally, at last, Triana is making 8.3 knots. I can't imagine how they're feeling right now. Excited to be moving again, looking at the hunt going forward, trying to work out how they're going to catch up, but they'll certainly be into that. And so they're doing 8.3. They didn't do a 297-mile day. Neither did White Shadow, but White Shadow's now doing 8.2. So they're on a roll. And you can see the southeasterly here has turned into an easterly, so it's beam reaching, probably only about 15, maybe gusting 20 at the tops, but that's perfect sailing for all 4.5 sails going for it, or 90-degree asymmetric. I'd imagine Triana's probably got a kite up right now going for it, and maybe White Shadow as well. Then this is the dividing line. You can see very quickly the breeze is starting to roll over. So Sterna's got a northeasterly now. So these guys have got an easterly, and the ones up here have got a southeasterly. So it's rolling. So Sterna's doing 5.7, did 87-mile day. So that's pretty reasonable. They're sort of out of the woodwork now, because as they go further north, the wind becomes easterly. It comes on the east, because this is traditionally what happens with the trades. As they hit the coast here, they turn into headwinds. So this other boat over here, which is now coming last again, is doing 6.3 knots, and they did a 65 nautical mile day, and they were yesterday sitting in the current. They're just sitting there going nowhere. Or last night, I was watching them. They were just sitting here doing 1.8 knots, going nowhere fast. So that's going to be their lot for a while, because they've, unlike the others who have this either an easterly or a southeasterly, these guys have basically got a northerly, or close to a northerly, and that's going to continue till they get up. At least they're going to have to climb somehow. They'll tack again. They'll come over here. Then they'll have a dead tack across there going nowhere, and then they'll start going again. So they'll probably get another, by tomorrow they'll be another day behind. So that's probably the best that they can think of at the moment. Anyway, they'll eventually get out of there and carry on. Sterna's not, I suppose the only other good news here, if there is any for these tail enders, is what's the real distance, say, between let's say Galeana and the back end of the fleet? 420 miles. So that's a couple of good days. That's sort of hoping. Between two Swan 57s, 280 miles. So that's probably 2 days as well. So they're a couple of days behind. But it's certainly looking like we're having to estimate what we think is the arrival time for these tail enders, and it's going to be the first week of May now, which is, I reckon. But we'll have to wait and see. They might get a break up in the trade in the doldrums. We spoke about that before. So the total gap here, for instance, just so you know, between Helsinki and Penjuik is only 170 miles. Okay. And between this lead group and Evrika and the others, only 240 miles. So 1.5 days or something, good trade wind sailing. But they've all got to get through the doldrums here. And so I think going forward on the weather, we can just look at what's going to happen to this lot here over the next, these guys will be up there in 2 days. So let's just start seeing what the prospect looks like. You can see the trade winds here. The northeasterlies are going to sit there. That doesn't need looking at. You can pretty much be guaranteed that these trade winds here now are settled because of this high over here. That's what's happening. So we don't need to look far away, and that will give us a better picture of the doldrums. So we'll just, although it doesn't show what's happening to the tail enders, so we'll sit it out right there. Okay, so we'll now click it forward. We'll go forward a day. So it's fluctuating. The doldrums are fluctuating in and out, but it's closing up for sure. So this is close to 24 hours from now. Now in 24 hours, if Penjuik can get up here, let's have a closer look here. If Penjuik can get up here, that's enough to keep sailing. If this breeze holds, they'll continue sailing. It might only be 4 or 5 knots, but that's all it takes is to keep going. So there is absolutely suggestion of a bit of breeze there, so they may get lucky. Then there's still a trough there of no wind, which will be squalls and thunderstorms and lightning and all that sort of rhubarb, which don't show up when you see these graphics. You can't see the little thunderstorms. they could be as big as a city block, or they could be as, 3 miles by 3 miles. They could be really huge. And when you get under them, you get your wind, and it goes around in a circle, circular, and you sail through it, and you popped out the other side, and there's no wind. So some frustration's coming, but and it'll be really hot. It'll be into the 30s now, I reckon. It'll be probably 29 to 31 degrees. So all a bit boring. But it's not so bad. So Penduic and the Spirit of Kip could get a breeze and keep going on the other side. They could be over the other side by the early hours of tomorrow morning. And then the others will have to keep pushing, but it's not looking too bad. So let's just now go for the next one. Oh, there's a big hole there forming up ahead of Penduic again. So, all right, and that's a pretty solid hole in front of Penduic. I think their breeze that got them moving might stop again. So it's very much a mixed bag. That's 2.5 days away there. The good news is then, we're just thinking of the next group. Look at that. Okay, so on the 25th at midday. So this is the 22nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. In 3 days' time, there is wind all the way across the doldrums here. And how long is it going to last? Because that'll favour these boats here. Outlaw, Evrika, and Galliano is secure. Might just be following up behind here and keep going a little bit. And it may favour these guys as well a little bit, but probably favour more Galliano and Outlaw and so on. They may catch up a little bit because that's the breeze. For Triana, they're going to go another day. So let's see what happens here. See if that holds or whether it disappears. That's on the 25th. Nope, there's definitely the doldrums disappear on the 26th. That's going to work in favour of Triana. They'll probably catch up a little bit. It's still with a breeze gradient on the 26th. Still holding through. And then just as Sterner and that other boat down the back get there, no, that's pretty much holding. There's a breeze all the way through, right through the 27th. That's pretty impressive. So 28th as well. So up until the 27th. And by the 28th, it's starting to turn up again. So just thinking of these little boats down the back here, how far have they got to go until they get up there? They've got until the 27th. So, wrong one, get out of there. So it's now the 22nd. 800 miles. Jeepers. 2. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5 days. 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, they might just get there. Sterner will. So these Triana absolutely will sail straight through. I don't know about these tail enders though, or the last boat. I don't know whether they'll get there in time before the doldrums then turn up again. Anyway, that's life. That's how it goes. So they'll struggle through probably. That's all I can tell you there. So let's have a look at the leaderboard. It'll be quite interesting. Penduic is coming or in line on us. It's obviously there, and then it's the Spirit of Keep. Only about 20 miles behind, and then Maiden, not far, another 100 miles or so, we've got 850 miles or something, and then Spirit of Helsinki, only about 30 miles behind them. Translated 9, only about 30 miles behind that. So you can see how that stacks up. It's pretty obvious after that, all the way down to the back. And then on IRC, we've got the Spirit of Keep still holding its own. Penduic is only 2 days behind. And remembering, that's not 2 days behind as it stands now. That's 2 days behind, assuming they maintain the same VMG all the way home. So, and that's not going to happen. So, Penduic could obviously jump that, but then Translated 9 is there. It's going to be too hard to call. They're all these boats Maiden, Translated 9, Penduic, the Spirit of Keep, currently are very close to each other. Then you go to Neptune, Spirit of Helsinki, and so on. So Helsinki is not performing to their rating. I've got to say, I'm pretty impressed with Maiden. Overall, she's maintaining a pretty good performance. It's not really a rating boat. It's a downwind flyer. It was never built for IOR rating, but in IRC, they're doing okay. They're sailing well. So that's probably the story for this leg. Galliano with Secure is still there, so anything can happen, but they lost out recently. Triana, way down the back here somewhere. So that's pretty cool. Now, before I go, I'm going to try and I'm going to reboot this and come back to the rankings overall for the last 4 legs. I've just got to drop this here. Combined results IRC. Let's just have a look here. So we're looking at the same map, but we're not interested in the map. We're looking at the leaderboard. And this is the combined results overall. We'll just see based on the current VMG, which is pretty slow. So we've got Triana on a corrected overall time. Forget about taking out the time in ports and this, that, and the other. So this is not their sailing time, but it's a corrected time to give us the difference in position, okay, and how far behind they are and what they're doing. So Triana is on 183 days, 19 hours. Maiden is on 186 days, so 3, 4, 5, 6. That's only 4, 5, 6. Only about 2 days in it for Triana versus Maiden. So then coming through the Spirit of Helsinki, you've got 186, 1, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 3 days later is Spirit of Helsinki. Now, I would hazard a guess that it's potentially possible for Helsinki to catch up when they get in the trades, but 3 days is a fair bit. If you spread 3 days over about, even if it was 3 weeks, a day a week, they've got to really be sailing a lot better. So I don't know whether that's a threat or not. But then again, Galliana is also 3 days and a bit. They could sail well to their rating once they get into the trades, but normally I say they sail best to their rating when they've got the wind after the beam, on the beam or after the beam, and they can put all that sail area up for their catch rig and so on. So I don't know whether they're going to be a threat either. Penjuic 192, no way. Overall, no way. It's not in the hunt. So touch wood. I mean, they could be. You never know. It's never over till the fat lady sings. But these are the ones that are potentially vying for a spot here, and let's wait and see. But Triana have used up all their goodwill by getting bogged down in that hole down the back with the other last 2 boats as well. So they've lucked out there, but they've still got enough to hold their own. So what they've got to do now is just sail, just not lose any more ground. And I don't know whether they will. We'll have to wait and see. So Triana are looking good, but their threat is coming from Maiden, which is really quite surprising because I've said it many times, it was never meant to be a rating boat. So the girls are really sailing quite well. And Helsinki, let's wait and see. Big, powerful, fast boat, but they've got a fair bit to make up. So it's all wide open. So you can keep an eye on that. You can't get it on your app, but you can certainly get it on a PC. So keep an eye on it. As we get along, we'll just do it every few days. We'll look here, but as we get towards the end, we'll look at that quite a lot. And then we'll see, remembering these are all provisional. They've still got to come up. And remembering also, there's still lots of technicalities and all the boats have to give us all their film. Otherwise, they might not be in the rankings for leg 4. So that could be a wild card. Anyway, we'll see. It's never over till the fat lady sings. All right. So we'll come back here and say, hey, hopefully that went through okay. So we're here. All right. Now, no one's screaming out, so it must have worked. J. Rob, Peter, Christine, Studio, Rob, yes, you're on the screen. Good. Morning, Kathleen. Techtastic, yeah, cool. I don't know what happened then, but anyway, we're here. So that's all good. I managed to get on live for the first time in a while. G'day, Simon. Close the gap, Maiden. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch them over all 4 legs as it goes to the finish. Neptune is taking northern coastal current through doldrums. Yes, they're not in a bad position at all, Neptune. Normally, historically, as you know, the doldrums sort of, I got to think of it, they wedge down towards the coast. So the thinnest part of the doldrums is always right on the coast. So it's working out okay for them. They haven't lost any ground by being inshore. So, Neptune's doing okay. And Judy, good afternoon from Italy. Thanks a lot for all the information. Cool. Thanks, Robert. So the last boat is now known as They Who Shall Not Be Named. You got it. I'm worried that people will be saying, "Oh, you're focusing too much on that slow boat." So I'm not going to mention their name for a while. Anyway, had an interesting. Oh, g'day, Stephen. I got to send an email. We got another Starlink here. Boom, boom. Oops, I just bounced through there too far. Martin, looks like Neptune. Yep, Elizabeth. Good afternoon. Okay, I think that's everyone. Yeah, cool. Just interesting. I'm finally finalising the notice of race for the 2027 edition, and it's as another thing popped up. I sometimes drop in little snippets here for those diehards that are still following the tracker update right to the very end. So, and I don't mention it anywhere else, so you get something special. And I just had an interesting one. We are changing, as you know, the classification for flyer class in 2027. So we're allowing Whitbread boats up until the 1984-85 Whitbread. So we're putting another one in. So L'Esprit de Keep, that's the one they won. So that's cool. They're there. But I just had an interesting call for. Oh, I've got to be careful what I say because I don't want people to know. Okay, so I won't mention that. But what I will say, sorry about that, is within flyer class, we're now going to open up an opportunity for Whitbread-related vessels. In fact, we already had this. If you look at the notice of race for this year, we said that we leave the door open to accept anyone into the race if they've got some connection to the Whitbread or they're historically relevant to the Whitbread and so on. And before Lionel bought L'Esprit de Keep, he had one of the critter boats that he put a proposal in to get that, and we couldn't quite create the connection because the critters had been in there, but there's so many critters that particular one was not designed and done for the Whitbread or whatever, but it was done for the transatlantics and so on, so we couldn't do it. Anyway, we're expanding on that concept a bit, and if we find that there is a boat which, first of all, was designed it's got to be designed no later than that last Whitbread, so 84, 85, so it's a similar design, and it has some even loose connection to the Whitbread, and it's a similar type of boat, so it's not a maxi boat and things like that, a similar type to the boats that were racing in the Whitbread at the time, we may well allow it into the flyer class, even though it's not actually competed in the Whitbreads up until that date. So we won't let any more modern boats come in. So someone that's designed a boat after 85, that's going to be a hot boat because it was designed then. But there's many, many boats, one-offs and all that sort of stuff, that were done for ocean racing. I mean, real ocean racing, across the Atlantics and so on, that are very similar to the existing flyer class boats. We may well let them in just to keep supplementing the number of boats that are available to fill the flyer class, because we can have up to 8 boats or so in the flyer class. We're restricting the fleet to 25 boats in 2027, and that may surprise a few people, but we don't want too many because it's logistically hard to manage. And also, so anyway, we'll let that go. But there's certainly, I'm getting emails every day now, people wanting to know about 27, and I'm saying, wait, it's coming next week. So there'll be a few more opportunities to get some interesting boats into the fleet without having boats that could instantly capture the flyer class. We're mindful of that. Anyway, I digress. So thanks for that. We'll see you tomorrow. See you later.